This is the Moonlight Graham Show, a freewheeling conversation with the role players, the underdogs, and guys with flat-out great stories in sports.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonlight Graham Show, and our Moonlighter for this week is an NFL football player who also has run the fastest automatically timed 100-meter dash in Iowa high school history. His name is Rico Gafford. Now, I've always loved Rico Gafford's story because he was a non-Power 5 football player. He actually went to Wyoming, but prior to that, Rico Gafford was a JUCO guy going to Iowa Western Community College for the first 2 years of his college career before he went on to play football at Wyoming with, of course, the great Josh Allen. Now, I always love those underdog type of stories, and so that's why I love Rico's story. And after his time at Wyoming, Rico ran an unbelievably fast 40-yard dash, which really got the attention of a lot of NFL scouts. He was undrafted out of Wyoming, but he did get picked up in the NFL by the Tennessee Titans. He was later cut by Tennessee, picked up by John Gruden, and at the time the Oakland Raiders, where he spent the last couple of years. Now, in college, Rico Gafford was a defensive back and a really good defensive back, but Gruden switched Rico Gafford over to wide receiver. That's the position that he currently plays. He's actually made it to the active roster in the NFL a number of times. He's caught a touchdown pass in the NFL. He just signed on with the Arizona Cardinals for this next year. He's originally from Des Moines, Iowa. It's a great story of perseverance, great underdog story. Love that he was a multi-sport athlete as well. So I've always heard a lot of really good things about Rico Gafford. Always wanted to get him on the podcast. But after spending about 30 minutes interviewing him for the podcast, I like him even more. This is a really great guy. Awesome to get him here on the show. I think he embodies the underdog spirit of the Moonlight Graham Show really well. So this was a really fun episode. Excited to bring it to you guys. And if you like what we're doing here on the Moonlight Graham Show, make sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. And we would love it, folks, if you left us a 5-star review. You can also follow the Moonlight Graham Show on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We love hearing from you guys each and every week. So enjoy today's episode with Moonlighter Rico Gafford. Rico Gafford, welcome to the Moonlight Graham Show.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me, Tim.
So you got this new restaurant, Rico's. I guess it's not that new anymore, but it's over in the Drake neighborhood of Des Moines. What made you at a young age want to start your own, bar restaurant?
To be completely honest with you, it really wasn't my idea. Ad and I had, been talking a bunch about jumping in real estate, possibly, just remodeling homes and all that type of stuff. And then his business partner, in which he's a barbershop owner, and his business partner with that helped him open up that. And they were sitting down talking about other things they can do together. And it was their idea to come up with the bar. And since he and I had already been talking about doing something during that time, he brought me in on it, and it's gotten to where it is today. So I'm very thankful for them for involving me in their ideas and what they planned and had going on, and I do the best I can to help them.
So these other business guys, they have the idea, but they slap your name on it. So you got to be the face of that. So I suppose everybody comes to you for everything because it's Rico's place.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of people come to me and will say a lot of different things, or try to give me all the credit for it. But all in all, it was their idea. I'm pretty much just the face, and when I'm there, I do as best as I can to help. I'm around, I'm cleaning. There's been times where I've had to cook and all that type of stuff. So I've learned a lot from being in that type of industry, in that business, and it's helped me learn a lot about that business and about what the people have to go through to succeed in that business.
What do you get when you stop by, when you're hungry? What do you get to eat?
My go-to every time is a catfish. I crave it. Me being here in Arizona, I crave it, and I'll be home this weekend, so I'll definitely have it about 3 times. And like I said, the go-to for me is definitely the catfish.
So you started your high school career at Des Moines East, and then you transferred over to Dowling for your last year. What prompted the transfer for you? Obviously, Des Moines East hasn't had great football through the years, or at least recently, the last decade or so, it's been kind of tough. Dowling's been dominant. Was it strictly for more exposure over at Dowling, or what was the reason?
To be honest with you, and a lot of people give me crap for this because they don't really know the story. They don't really know what happened. All they know is Rico Gafford transferred over to Dowling and he won a championship and he went off to college and now he's in the NFL. But in all honesty, I messed up myself as a freshman and a sophomore in academics. I did really, really bad. I was failing classes. I had D's and F's in classes and all they really just continued to let me play football. And I never really was focused on school. So after my sophomore year, I had a talk with the Iowa State head coach, and he came into the weight room while I was at East and I was working out, and he pulled me aside and he said, "We want to give you a scholarship, but your grades are bad. Like there's, you got to turn everything around in order for you to be able to play Division I football." So I went back and I told my parents that, and we sat down and we're like, "Look, is there anything we can do here, with you being at East, that's going to help you get to where you want to be?" And in all honesty, we felt like East wasn't going to be enough for me. So we went to Dowling, which was 99% graduation rate. 99% of their students went off to college. So we decided, that was the best route for me. That would completely help me turn my grades around and help me, discipline myself as far as, in the classroom. And it really made me step up and, actually focus in on what I had to do in order to get to where I wanted to be.
What did you think of wearing the uniform every day?
I mean, it honestly wasn't bad. We had a bunch of different shirts you could wear. All you had to do was buy yourself a bunch of different khaki pants and different shoes and all that. And it honestly wasn't bad. You have a different color shirt for each day of the week. So it really wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, I was a Catholic school kid myself, and I always thought the uniform was easy, right? It made my life a lot easier because I just know I'm wearing khakis and a polo every day. And it's like, I'm off to school.
I swear, you didn't have to put any thought into what you're going to wear or waste any time trying to figure out, an outfit for that day or anything. All you had to do was literally decide which color shirt you wanted to wear and go from there.
I love your story. Not only you taking academics seriously and moving to Dowling, like investing in your academic career at a young age, like a lot earlier than when most guys are making that decision. But then, also you go to junior college route, you go to a non-Power 5 school, like you're non-drafted, like all of these things are stuff that like I really identify with. I'm a JUCO guy myself. But I didn't play football. I played baseball. But one of my favorite shows on Netflix is, Last Chance U. And they got Last Chance U is on the basketball side now, which is cool. Yeah. But the glimpse into the football world, the JUCO football world has been fascinating. And I think it's such a cool thing for people to see that glimpse into non-Power 5 football, right? And what that world is like. Now, you didn't play like down in Scuba, Mississippi, but you played at Iowa Western, which is still like big time junior college football. How close was that to Last Chance U for you?
I would say Iowa Western and the JUCO world is seen as a Division I school. We had, some of the best housing and meal plans in JUCO. So I can't really relate to those guys as far as, what they went through as far as eating habits and living arrangements and all that type of stuff. When I went to Iowa Western, I stayed in the suites and I had my own room. It was a room inside a room. There was 4 rooms inside of basically a unit. There was 2 bathrooms. So I had my own room. I had privacy. I shared a bathroom with one other person, and it was the food got. It got old after a while. It was obviously the same food, but it was still better than what other junior colleges got. So I was very thankful for, the opportunity that Iowa Western gave me. And, like you said, the other guys, the other JUCOs, they suffered a lot more with just, a lot of guys had to bunk up and, be in one place together. And they might have had 10 guys in one place. And there was probably only 4 beds, anything like that. But I was lucky enough to, not have to go through that. But I did get to play against I went to in my freshman year, we played against East Mississippi and Biloxi, Mississippi, and I got to play against those guys. And they had Chad Kelly at quarterback who played in the NFL a little bit. I think he might still be in the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. Obviously, it was a blessing for me to go to Iowa Western because I never had to face those problems that the other guys had to face.
Yeah, nobody dreams about going the JUCO route. Like you dream about going to some big time program, right? And then I think a lot of people are surprised when they get to JUCO at how much competition there is there and how many good athletes and good football players, good baseball players have to go the JUCO route for whatever reason leads them to that place. When you got to Iowa Western, what was your attitude like and what was that kind of transition like to being like, man, I don't want to be at a junior college program, but damn, I got to work for a spot here.
Yeah. So for me, it was for Iowa guys, it was different because when you're in JUCO sports, depending on what state you're in, you get more of those players from that state rather than players. So basically, I think we had 20, if I can remember correctly, 20 players out of state on the roster. And then the rest had to be filled with Iowa players or something like that. It was a small number to where you couldn't bring out-of-state guys in here and completely jam-pack the team with those guys. But it was hard for me because obviously there was guys that would bounce back from Florida State or, Alabama, Auburn, anything like that, and come to Iowa Western, and they would instantly throw them in your position and, put them ahead of you just because of where they came from. But me, I never let that, discourage me or anything like that. I just continue to fight. I never really started my freshman year. I started a few games. My sophomore year, I only started a few games, and I just always worked, and I, just let my play speak for itself. And then I just took care of my grades. And in the end, it worked out for me I think I had close to 10 offers, and then I ended up going with Wyoming just because of the relationship I had with the defensive coach there.
Yeah, so was that it? Like you really liked the defensive guy at Wyoming?
Yeah, so the story behind that is when I transferred to Dowling, Coach Wilson had, did what he could to get my name out there to, just the guys that he knew and different recruiting coordinators and all that he had worked with over time. And one of his best friends happened to have been the defensive backs coach at Michigan. So Ryan Boyle, Henry Seek, and we had went out to Michigan for a Michigan camp, and I got to meet him. His name is Kurt Mallory. And we had, created a relationship with him there. And obviously with them sending Amar Darboh there, it was different. They just had a relationship already before me. So I had created a relationship with Kurt Mallory, and I, continue to keep that relationship with him as he and the coaching staff at Michigan ended up getting fired, and he ended up going to Wyoming. So all in all, I just knew he, had sent guys to the NFL, and I knew he would, do his best to send me to the NFL as well. So I decided to go with him to Wyoming.
Was that always the goal, the NFL?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. What was the moment that you thought, I think I can get to that level?
When I got to Wyoming and having the junior year that I had, just coming in and them allowing me to come in and start, and just to have the year that I had, come in as a guy that, no one knew of in that division. No one really from the school knew who I was, and just to come in and have those guys welcome me in, and us all just come together as one, as a unit, and have the chemistry that we had, and the success that I had there just helped me, understand that, look, as long as I continue to work, I can do this. I can, make it to the next level.
Yeah. You had Josh Allen as your quarterback there at Wyoming. Big arm. Guys had a ton of success in the NFL already. He seems to be a great guy. What was it like going up against him every day in practice? Because you're on the other side of the ball. So you're trying to get him. You're trying to pick off his passes, and I bet you probably learn a lot from playing against a guy like that.
Oh, yeah. It was great. Josh is an amazing guy. He's exactly what everyone thinks he is. He's a people's person, and he's a leader as well. And going against him, he would help us out as we helped him out. He would hurt us from time to time because his arm is so strong, and If he throws any type of like out routes or hitch routes, anything like that, if we come break the ball up, he's throwing the ball so fast that it would hurt our fingers literally. So, just learning from Josh and just, allowing him to lead us just helped. It helped us, shape the team. It helped shape our success, and everyone just fell behind him and, wanted to work and, just get better and do as much as we can for the program so that we can, succeed and become that team that, made a difference. So, like I said, Josh is an amazing guy. I still love him to this day. I got to see him this year. We played against him this year. He gave me a jersey. I gave him a jersey, and
nice.
Forever be grateful for the relationship that I have with him, and I consider him a brother.
When you're playing against Josh Allen in practice or any quarterback in practice, when you're on the defensive side of the ball and you pick him up or you pick off, you pick a read up or something from him, do you go up to him and say like, hey man, I picked you off because I was reading your eyes here. Maybe try to look away. Or do you give him tips on what you're seeing on the defensive side?
So to be honest, we do that, but not right then and there. It's all competition at the end of the day. So we might be talking crazy to each other and talking smack and telling them don't throw the ball over here anymore, this and that. But after practice, when it's time to, watch the tape and all that stuff, we'll definitely go up to him and be like, look, yo, like, I watched it this entire way, or the route, or I go to the receiver and tell him like, yo, if you run a route this way, you'll be able to create better separation and all that type of stuff. At the end of the day, it was all about, making each other better as far as, practice wise and coming together and making sure that we, did what we had to do to succeed when it comes time for game day.
I think where you really burst on the scene, or at least when people from Iowa really started paying attention to your career at Wyoming, was your senior year when you come back to Kinnick Stadium and you get a chance to play at Iowa your senior year. There's a lot of hype around that game because Allen was getting a lot of recruiting buzz and all this stuff. And you have a great game that game. How awesome was that for you just to come back to your home state, perform well on the big stage? A lot of people are watching.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it was amazing. I to this day, there's no better feeling, even though I've, played in NFL, I've scored in NFL. There was no better feeling for me than to, go to Kinnick Stadium and be able to do what I did, even though I gave up a touchdown and I was so mad about that. But
you picked a pass off too, didn't you?
Yeah. I picked. So crazy thing about that, I didn't start that game, and it was my first possession in the game when I got the interception. So it was just like electric for me, like just to be able to do that and then just hear the crowd, cheering. And for me, when I was a Wyoming guy, but all in all, I'm really from Iowa. So just to have, gotten that love from the Iowa fans that I received for doing that, and, being able to go to Iowa. And that was another reason why I went to Wyoming, was because of all the schools that offered me, I was going to be able to play against an Iowa team.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, when I saw that, I looked at the roster as soon as Wyoming offered me, as soon as any school offered me, I looked at the roster just to see what teams they played. And, Wyoming was playing Oregon, Nebraska, Iowa, all these big schools. And it was like, well, if I go and play against those big schools and I make plays against those big schools, and that's going to give me an opportunity for scouts to see that, because they, already downplayed the Mountain West and, all the stuff they said about Josh just because he played at that level, but playing against those bigger teams and, succeeding against them really helped. And so, like I said, it was just electric, like, and there's no other feeling in the world that can beat that feeling than just, doing what I did at Kinnick Stadium.
I love it. And then, what kind of really catapulted your NFL draft prospects was your pro day at Wyoming. You run, I don't know what the official pro day 40 time was, but anywhere from like 4:19, that was kind of what was up on Twitter, to 4:25, 4:27, somewhere around there. Regardless, it was blazing fast. There might be one or two guys a year that are running that fast. What was it like to kind of, as the lead up, like my shot here is I'm fast. And if I can put a time up there, people are going to notice. What was that like to do that?
The stuff that I was hearing back from my agents was just that, okay, yeah, he's done this, he's done that. They know he can play. You have to do something that's going to catch their eye. You have to do something at your pro day that's literally going to catch your eye. And one thing, that I always knew I had was speed, So going into my pro day, I completely just focused on my speed, my techniques with coming out of my start and all the different things. And, for me to run that and have the stage that I had with Josh Allen being there and having all 32 teams there, I had to, just give it my all. And I wish I could have done more at my pro day to show them that I had more to give, but I ended up only being able to run my 40 because of I got calf cramps in both of my calves after I ran that. So, by the grace of God, I was able to, give them something to lean on for me. And it got me to where I am today. And, I don't know what the official time is, just like but I'm just very, very blessed to, have had any of the times that they've put out there.
How big of an advantage was it for you when you're preparing for that combine? Because when guys get done playing, they go into this combine mode where you only practice like the events that you're going to do in a combine, which is a lot of them are like kind of football related, but they're also just really geared to the combine. But you're a track guy, right? Yeah. So you're used to going out of the blocks. You're used to running straight line routes. How big of an advantage was that for you?
It was a huge advantage, honestly. Track is my number one love. And when it comes to sports, I wish I could have continued to run track. It just was different, money and all that different stuff. But you being able to use what I've learned from running track and use the techniques and all that stuff that and even my coaches, the coaches that I had, growing up over the years, I went back to them and got different knowledge and all that type of stuff from them. It helped me out and it helped me get to where I am today. So I'm very, very grateful for everyone that's been there along the way, that supported me and that's helped me get to where I am, because I would not be here without any of the people that's helped me over the years.
I think you have the fastest automatic time in the state of Iowa's history at like 10.61. You ran it in the prelims at state track your senior year, which is just incredible. You had to have a bunch of people calling you for track too, right?
Yeah. I had at that time when I had ran that, I was already committed for football. So I didn't really get the buzz that I feel like I would have gotten from other schools. But since I had already committed, it was just like certain teams will reach out. And, I was already messed up with the academic stuff. So it was like, there was nothing more I could do. I just had to, go down the route I had already chosen and, see where it took me.
Okay, 100-meter dash, not a 40, but 100-meter dash. Is there anybody in the NFL that can beat you?
I'm going to say no, but
I think the Buccaneers – didn't the Buccaneers get a track guy last year from LSU?
I know they have the Buccaneers have a few fast guys. They have a guy named I think Anthony Miller. They have him. They have another guy that was on the Last Chance U. His what is his name? He was on Last Chance U the first year they had it. He's really, really fast as well. Honestly, I don't know. The 100-meter dash in the NFL is like different. The 40, right. I would say I don't think anyone can get me in a 40, but 100-meter dash is different. That's a long race. So I don't know. We'll have to see, man.
Well, and your story is so interesting to me, and it gets even more interesting because when you get to the NFL, they're like, hey, how about a position change too? Yeah. And you go from D-back to wide receiver, and I think a lot of people are like, well, yeah, he's really fast. It's really easy for fast people to do anything. But, like, those positions are all about footwork and the detail to get open and then to cover those guys and to move your hips is completely different from one to the next. How long did it take you to like get comfortable being on the other side of the ball? You might still be there.
Yeah, I am. I'm still working to this day. I'm still working. My rookie year, when Coach Gruden moved me to our wide receiver halfway through the season. That's when I really started to right then and there, I started to literally just focus on learning the playbook. I did certain stuff with my receiver coach to, help me better technique, but it would just take an entire off season. So he was like, we can do what we can right now. Just, do the best you can to learn the playbook for right now. And during the off season, you can go to whoever you need to go to focus on your technique. After my rookie year and my rookie off season, I went into the season and, we made progress. I ended up scoring. I scored a touchdown in the preseason against the Cardinals. And then they had told me I still needed a little bit more work. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I just moved over to a position last year. I'm not going to be able to learn this position and the techniques and all that stuff in a year. So I'm okay with this. So they put me back on practice squad. After that, they moved me. They kept me on practice squad. And then I think it was about week 9 when they moved me up against Tennessee. I got the opportunity. And to be honest, I really wasn't even supposed to be in on that play. But Coach Gruden was like, all right, we got to put Rico in. Okay, let's call a play that we've run with him all week and practice was specifically the play for me. And I'm very, very thankful for Derek for, continuing to trust me through his reads and all that type of stuff. And I, fell open out of the blink of nowhere. So I still, after that, I still had work to do. And then going into my third year, the offseason before that, I went down to Florida and I trained with, I only got to train with Randy Moss for a week. I was in Florida with Randy Moss and a few other guys, but I was down there for a week. I was down there with Nelson Aguilar, Henry Ruggs, and a few other guys. And I got a little bit working with Randy Moss. It was only for a week, but I was down there with Yo Murphy, who also played in the NFL a few years back. And him and just being around the other guys, it helped me. And then I also took everything I learned from Randy Moss and them and brought it back to Iowa and continued to work with Ryan Smith and all other guys that just wanted to get the work in. I worked with Will McAvain as quarterback. He was throwing the ball for me. It was me, Jalen James, and Dom Daphne, and a few other guys. We're all just working at Will's house during the pandemic, just trying to get better. So. Wow. I spent a lot of time just trying to better my technique and my craft and, trying to learn the ins and outs at receiver and, just continuing to try to get better. And I'm still trying to get better now. I'm in Arizona. I just got out here to Arizona and I'm going to start working out with a few guys tomorrow. So I'm very, very pumped and very excited and ready to continue to work.
When you're watching wide receiver film, right, and you're trying to get better, who's the guy you're copying the most, right? Who's the guy you're stealing from the most?
I'd say my all-in-all favorite wide receiver is Robert Woods because Robert Woods is a guy he's technically sound. He's very, very, very physical, and he catches everything. They tried to relate me to Tyreek Hill and all that, which is amazing, and I love it. But I'm trying to become a lot more physical because when I was with the Raiders, that's what it was. It was really just a run scheme offense. So it was a lot of blocking. And the guy that I watched the most was Robert Woods, just because he's in that type of scheme as well. And he still succeeds in there. And he just, he blocks very, very well. He goes in there, he hats safeties up and put them down and all that type of stuff. So I've grown to love him, but I watched literally every receiver and try to take little things from them. And, for the most part, I just, try to use my strengths as best as I can to make a difference on the field.
What's Gruden like?
Gruden is he's an amazing guy. He's very emotional. He loves the game. He just loves to win. And all in all, I love him. I love him so much. It just didn't work out because the scheme wasn't right for me. And obviously they drafted Henry Ruggs, and which him and I do the exact same thing. And with them being a run team, it wasn't going to work with both of us. So, I took the opportunity I was given when Arizona called, and, I looked at the offense and looked at what they were doing. And, I'm trying to, implement myself in there as well. But for the most part, I just really would love to kick return and punt return.
How often do you think, like, you're still a young guy, right? And you got so much of your life ahead of you, but you've had this goal of getting to the NFL. Now you've been in the NFL for a couple of years. How often do you just sit around and be like, I can't believe it. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm in the NFL right now.
It's every single day. I swear it's every single day. And, I say it's every single day because as I was growing up and, going to the different camps that I went to, and one camp in specific is the Michigan camp that I went to, that I told you that Ryan and I went to. One of the coaches was asking me when I was going through stations, one of the coaches were asking us where we were. And I remember I was there with Jabril Peppers and a few other guys. And they were asking us where we were from. And I was like, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. It's like, Des Moines, Iowa? They don't have football players in Des Moines, Iowa. for a while. Like, oh, okay, that's disrespectful, but I'm about to show you. Like, I'm about to show you what I can do on the field. And from there, I just always kept the mindset of, look, I'm the underdog. You know, Des Moines, Iowa was the underdog. Everyone in Des Moines, Iowa was the underdog. No matter what you do, no matter who you are, you're an underdog. And that's how the world looks at us. So I have always had this chip on my shoulder, and I'll always keep it, and I'll continue to do what I'm doing. And another thing, you know, that I love to do is I love to, you know, being around the kids. I love to be around the young guys that, you know, look up to me. And there's some young guys in the city right now that have 5 stars and all that type of stuff. And they're just going to all the big camps and all that stuff. And I love to see it because they're putting Iowa on the map. They're, you know, encouraging all the other kids in Iowa to continue to go, to continue to strive. And, you know, it doesn't matter where you come from, you can make it. So that's my biggest thing. And like I said, I'll always hold this chip on my shoulder, and I want those guys to do the same thing.
Do you ever still dream about running on the blue oval? You know, state track. You got, I mean, that's like the best high school state track meet in the country. You know what I mean? Like, they have co-ed, the place is packed. They got Mike J on the PA that makes you feel like you're big time, you know, like that. I still dream about it. I'm 35 years old, Rico. You're not that far away from it. I'm
not, man. I there's nothing like the blue oval. I swear. I've run on there a few times, and I to this day, there's nothing like the blue oval. And I would literally give anything to go back and be able to run on the blue oval one more time officially. Just one more time. All I want to do is just run on the blue oval one more time officially, and not in the rain. That's what I don't want to. No, you gotta come back for a Drake Relays one year and running like the professional 100-meter dash as like special invite. Yeah, I'd definitely do that if they gave me the opportunity.
Yeah, that's nice. All right. Yeah. The way we end every episode of the Moonlight Graham Show, Rico, is with the 5 big questions, all right?
Sure.
First question is, who's your all-time favorite teammate?
All-time favorite teammate? Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, I forgot you guys were teammates in Oakland.
Yeah, So when Gruden first moved me to offense, he was really teaching me how to play. Gruden was just doing whatever with me. He put me at running back one time, and Marshawn was just teaching me the ins and outs, and he was liking how I moved. And I became more, you know, I got closer to him and created a little relationship and all that type of stuff. And he's just a very, very funny guy, and he's exactly what everyone sees him out to be. And he's a great guy. I love him.
Does he do like the Skittles thing? Is that legit, or is it all just a marketing thing?
No, it's definitely legit. He's crazy. He's crazy.
I love that. So what about, you've run track, you've done football. What's the toughest workout you've ever been through?
The toughest workout I've ever been to was probably at Wyoming due to the elevation, and our strength coach was crazy. He was from Oklahoma. We called him Coach Denny, and he was a hardcore military guy. He put us through the military workouts, and I didn't survive the workout. I didn't survive a lot of workouts because I have sickle cell anemia. So like, it was for me to go up to that elevation and be able to compete and do the things I did at that elevation. It took me a while to get used to the elevation and used to the air. And I went to a workout of his, and I just told him, like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm done. There's no way. Like, I can't. He got mad at me, and I just was like, I don't care. Like, there's no way you're going to kill me if I continue to come out here and do this. But I love him. He put us through a lot. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot of discipline from him. And I would have to say that being at Wyoming, that was one of my toughest workouts.
Yeah. Does the strength coach, when you say that, like, hey man, I got sickle cell anemia or anemia. I'm at this elevation that I'm not used to. Like, does he think you're BSing him, you know, and like you're just trying to get out of the workout?
He knows, he knows I have it, but he doesn't care. He just thinks that you can fight through it and all that. I'm like, I literally can't breathe.
Right. So who was your role model growing up?
Role model is tough. I looked up to a bunch of guys as far as like professionals and all that type of stuff. But for the most part, I just tried to, you know, be myself and better myself as a man as a whole. But I'd say role model, probably my mom, honestly. You know, she's done a lot for me. She's been there through everything. And, you know, I see the effort and all the work she put into, you know, help me get to where I am today. And, you know, she was my biggest role model, and I just wanted to make everything right for her in the long run.
That's cool. What about like, what's one thing that, so in the NFL right now, we have like the HBO Hard Knocks documentary. Fans get a really nice glimpse behind the scenes, right? But I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that like fans have no idea about. Like, what's one thing that fans have no idea about that because you're in the NFL, you're like, man, fans have no idea about this one thing?
I would say, I don't know, I'd say the business aspect of it. A lot of fans see stuff and they, create a narrative off of it based off of what they see on social media and what, the news might say and what they might think happened and all that type of stuff. But it's half the time I'd say it's probably not as true as what they make it out to be. It's always double-sided, but the business side of it's always going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does that social media side of that though, you're on social media, you see that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, is it hard when people be like, Rico Gafford sucks, or like whatever they might say, or like they used to love you when you were in Oakland and Las Vegas, and now they hate you because you're in Arizona.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and it's like, no matter what we say, it's, there's certain stuff you don't want to come out and say that, put shame on you as well. And there's just certain stuff that you feel like you don't need to entertain just because it's stupidity. Like it's at the end of the day, someone's coming out with a narrative. The truth will always come out. If it doesn't come out, then it is what it is. But we know, as athletes and as people, that are actually in the industry, we know what's going on, and we're there front line to see what happens, and that it is what it is. And no one else, we're at the end of the day, we don't really care about what a lot of people think, because, at the end of the day, there's haters out here. There's people that want to be in your shoes, and, we're just blessed to be where we are. And at the end of the day, we just got to continue to stay humble and realize that it is what it is. It's the world we live in.
I love that. So final question here, Rico, what is the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received, and I have it tattooed on me, is today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can do what others can't. And that's by Jerry Rice. And it's just, and just another thing, it relates to the incident that I had with Alan Lazard when I was in high school. I was mad about the publicity and all the, stuff he was getting from Iowa State after, the senior season that I had. And I came out and I said some crazy stuff on social media. And some of the older guys that were going to Iowa State when we were in high school, it was like George Niang and all those guys. And they're like, you can't be mad at, how things are playing out or this and that, because you both have the same 24 hours. So it was like, that advice that I got there, and then the quote that I got from Jerry Rice just, stuck with me for the rest of my life every single day. It's like, look, things happen. They might not happen in the way that you want it to happen in, but you have the same 24 hours and you have the ability to do what others can't. So tomorrow you can do what others can't. Well, like I said, it's just different things like that. If you just think about certain stuff like that and think about how you attack the day, it'll change your entire life. So, like I said, I admit to all my flaws, and I'm not someone that's just gonna, downplay certain things just because of what it is. But, I'm human, I'm a man, and, I admit to everything I've done, and, I learn from it.
I love that, man. And I love your story. I love your story of perseverance and grinding it out and, growth and all of that stuff. You're a great underdog story, great representative of the state of Iowa. So thank you for coming on the Moonlight Graham Show today, Rico. Glad we were able to make this work, and best of luck with the restaurant and also with next season with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me on here, Tim. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks once again to listening to today's episode of the Moonlight Graham Show. And even though I do most of the interviews here on the podcast, there is a ton of work that happens behind the scenes that you guys don't see that make each episode possible. So I got to give a shout out to the Moonlight Graham Show team. First of all, Brian Sandvig, our producer. Brian does all of the post-production work, and in real life, he's not just a podcast producer, he's also a real estate agent. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home down in the Kansas or Missouri areas, give Brian Sandvig a call. Next guy on that list is Brendan Gargano. Brendan does all of our design and artwork here on the podcast. He's one of the most talented artists I've ever met, and I love all of his work. If you need any help on the design side with logos or anything like that, give Brendan Gargano a call. The next guy on that list is Andy Flattery, my older brother. Andy, of course, has done some of the interviews here on the podcast. He also is a certified financial planner. He owns a business called Simple Wealth Planning. If you need any help in that area, check Andy Flattery out. And then, of course, the trusty co-host Tom Griffin and my younger brother Neil Flattery. Those guys are just busy being husbands, being fathers, they're family men, but also they do a ton of work here on the show. So thanks again for listening. We really appreciate you guys subscribing and supporting the Moonlight Graham Show.